Biden has approved sending anti-personnel landmines to Ukraine. It's the second big shift in policy just this week. House Foreign Affairs Committee member Congressman Cory Mills joins me now. Congressman, are we maneuvering to give Zelensky a position of strength before any peace talks?
Well, I think that what we're actually doing is we're escalating the conflict as opposed to trying to de-escalate it, Barney. If you think about the recent approvals by Biden to try and launch HIMARS and ATACMS into Russia to hit Russian targets, that's not exactly a way to de-escalate the situation, but also the president has actually changed his policies on many things. It was last year that he had approved cluster munitions, which is banned by over 100 nations because of the dud ratio that results in additional civilian casualties, that being farmers who run over cluster munitions that may have not gone off, or even children or others who mistake it for toys or other things to play with. So, we have to think about with the actual landmines, if it's not properly marked, you're going to have additional civilian casualties, not to mention the additional cost whenever you have to go through a demining operation to try and remove those after the conflict.
There seems to be a lot of movement around Ukraine, though, now that Trump has won. He's had impact on this war already.
Well, that's exactly right. And look, a lot of the world leaders have reached out to the president, had talked about how they can actually get things to improve, whether that be through trade, whether that be through commerce, or whether that be through trying to find stabilization. I mean, we also saw, Barney, where you had Hamas, who's actually now wanting to have discussions on ceasefires. You're going to see where the Houthis are going to be relisted on a terrorist designation. So you're going to see where the world in itself, and even China, we've got this geopolitical axis of evil, if you will, of China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. They're all taking notice that weakness that invites aggression under the Biden administration doesn't exist under President Trump. So we're going to see a lot more deals being made to try and advance peace, as well as for the expansion of the Abraham Accords, which I think is a monumental piece that's going to help with stabilization through the Middle East.
Let's revert to domestic policy and take a look at the deep state. The FEMA administrator testified about the worker who skipped homes with Trump signs after Hurricane Milton. Listen to how the Democrats frame their questions. Roll it.
It is very important to say that if someone thinks that a FEMA official is coming to their house to take their house away, that's a situation that could be escalatory or potentially become violent over something that's not true, correct? Correct.
It's been reported that there were unprecedented levels of harassment and threats leveled against FEMA workers. We are invited to focus on one so-called intermittent employee in Florida whose team encountered what she called political hostility while canvassing door-to-door for FEMA in Florida.
Congressman, they seem to be revealing disdain for Trump supporters. That's the way I read it.
Well, it's also discrimination, as you saw. I mean, you've got FEMA, which is weaponized in areas that voted predominantly 70 to 80% for Trump. That was being discriminated against and not getting the necessary care after the disaster relief. Look, Bernie, I spent 11 days in Western North Carolina, saw devastation like I've never seen before, dropped 23,000 pounds of supplies, dozens of search and rescue missions, as well as for medical evacuations over to Johnson City. And not once did I see FEMA there trying to actually support. Look, we've continued to see weaponization, Stuart. We saw the weaponization from the Department of Injustice, who was actually utilizing lawfare against political opponents. You've seen where Obama had weaponized IRS to start targeting conservative organizations. You're seeing FEMA, who's utilizing good and best practices to avoid homes that seem to have been supporting President Trump, which I think that you could actually look at that as almost voter suppression in some ways, because they were actually trying to ensure that their focus was on trying to recover, not getting out to the ballot box. So we need investigations to go on, but we also need to know where's the money that was being allocated by Mayorkas for $22 billion he claimed was for Hilton or for Milton and Helene, and where did that money actually result in? Because we know the DOD just failed their 7th audit. We need to be auditing every one of these departments and agencies to be good stewards of taxpayers' money.
Congressman Cory Mills, as ever, thanks very much for being with us this morning. We hope to see you again real soon.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yes, sir. Thank you.